So the reason why we use salt is to make a common password to have a different encrypted version of it. So the reason why we do this is, for example, the first user supplies a password of test123, and then it runs through the function called encrypt to encrypt his password before storing it to a database. So the encrypted version of his password might be this, and then if a second user also uses the same password, and he runs through the encrypt function for his password before storing it to a database. So the second user uses the same password as the first user, and if they run through the same encrypt function, the encrypted value of the password will be the same. So why this is dangerous is because if an attacker managed to decrypt the first user's password back into the plaintext version, and he noticed that in the database table there's another user that has the same encrypted version of the password, so he knows that the second user has the same password as the first user, so he will manage to gain access to both of these users' account. So what the salt does is that it prevents two common passwords to have same encrypted version of it. So it prevents the problem that I mentioned earlier, which is gaining access to both of these users' password. So right now we're gonna create an array that contains characters ranging from A to Z, capital A to Z and lowercase, and numbers 0 through 9. And we're gonna append random values from these salt characters to the salt string. So we're gonna append 22 characters to the salt string, and we're gonna pick random values from the salt character array, and basically what this function does is it ensures that the salt being generated will be different for every user. So this prevents a common password to have the same encrypted version, because this salt is gonna be appended to the end of this inputted password before encrypting it. So right now we're gonna return the encrypted version of the password, input password. The first parameter will be the input password, and then the second parameter will be the printf function, with the first parameter will be this string, which tells the crypt function that we're using Blowfish to encrypt the password, and the second parameter will be the rounds of encryption we're gonna use on the password, and we're gonna append the salt to the back of the inputted password, which ensures that the encrypted value of the common password will be different. So right now we can run an example. So just now I mentioned the first user's password might be test123, and then the second user might also have a password of test123, but however we are using a random salt to append it to the password before encrypting it. It will ensure that these two passwords encrypted version will be different from each other. So the first user's encrypted password will be this, and the second user's encrypted password will be this, because they are using different salts. But if you're not using salt for the password before encrypting it, the encrypted version of these two passwords will be the same. So right now this function allows us to encrypt the password before storing the password into a database. So at the login page, the register page, we're gonna encrypt the password before storing it into the database. So before creating the SQL, we're gonna run the function encrypt on the password. To encrypt the password before binding it into a prepared statement and then executing it to the database. So right now, if we go to the register page and we register as test user and the password of test 123, and then we go to the database. And you can see the encrypted version of the password being stored in the database. And if the attacker actually uses this encrypted password to log in, it won't work. He must decrypt the password first before logging in using the plain text password. And if the second user also uses the same password, test user 2, he uses the same password as test user, the encrypted version of his password will be different from the first user. So this prevents that if the attacker manages to decrypt the password of the test user and he sees that another user have an encrypted version that is the same as the first user, then he won't be able to know because the two encrypted values are different.